This is a message to Gen Z from Gen Y. First of all, you gotta calm down. I know, it's not a good start, you already don't like it, but that's why you gotta calm down. I was born in 1987, I graduated high school in 2005, and I was you just a few years ago. People said, millennials, they're so lazy, they're so entitled, they're so this, they're so that. It's so common for the previous generation to say that about the next generation coming up. I remember what that was like. Because interestingly enough, all of us were you. But before you start squealing, you need to understand something. A lot of life understanding comes from experience. It's just something you can't fast track. You need to understand that your outrage is being weaponized against you. Because unfortunately for all of us, what we don't know, we just don't know. And sometimes there's things that you can't be told. You just have to learn them yourself. Our job as the people who came before you is not to tell you what to think, but to teach you how to think. Your energy, your concern, it's all understood. We've all been there. We've all felt that. But squealing and outrage and violence, it's just not the answer. There's a lot of things that you're going to learn in the next 10 years that you would have never anticipated. These things will come with time. We're not dismissing you because we think that you're dumb. You just don't know what you don't know yet. A lot of life actually comes down to timing and energy. There's a lot of nuance to it. A lot of experience comes from failure and repetition, and then understanding how to measure expectation. There will be many learning experiences in the next 10 years where right now you'd say, I would never do that. I would never think that. And then something will happen and you'll be like, yes, now I see that. It's also important to understand that we recognize your intelligence, your ability to adapt at lightning speed. That was the advantage that we had over the generation before us. We understood technology at a quicker clip, but it also made us believe that we understood everything in the same way we adapted and learned this. And again, there's a lot of things that you'll be able to do better than we'll be able to do, and a lot of things we are able to do that are better than the generations before us. That's the natural progression of life. But you also should have the self-awareness to understand that people that came a little bit before you may understand other things better than you purely based on experience. That's kind of the gift of progressing through life. A boomer may not understand how to use their cell phone or how to post on social media, and you might think that that's dumb of them. But what they do understand is things that you don't understand yet, like grit, in-person conversations, how to sell, all these other things that you're not good at, but you're better at other things. That's just how it goes. We applaud you for being so engaged because the marketplace has adjusted to give you an outsized voice based on your experience in life. And you're using it, as you should. The marketplace has changed. But you have to also understand and recognize that your voices are being elevated intentionally for a reason. And it's not necessarily because it's right. Your passion, your outrage, your energy is being weaponized against you. But now there's an artificially inflated distribution point that allows that message to be circulated at a faster rate. And the dopamine hits and social validation of those viewpoints is causing you to stick your flag in the sand and draw the line and say, this has to be right. Look, I'm being socially rewarded for it. It's objectively rewarding. But what I don't think most of you are seeing is as you draw your hard line in the sand and plant your flag of what you think your position will be, you're not anticipating what you potentially will learn over the course of the next 10 years and how massive it will be. Because everything is not what it seems. These are things that you learn over time. There's people that you'll be like, that person's living the best life in the world. Then you do the things they do and you're like, that actually was not what I thought it was. Measured expectations, repetition, failure. These are the lessons of life. This is what's so beautiful about the passage of time. And soon you will see, much like we did. Youthful exuberance and energy is great. It's needed. It's what the world needs. And many of your ideas are of extreme value. There's no doubt about it. But what you will see and learn over time is that you're not always right just because you're loud. You're not always right because it seems right now. I wish you would spend a little bit more time listening and a little bit less time yelling. I understand you're frustrated. I understand you're upset. But just because the scales seem tipped and just because it seems unfair doesn't mean it's unfair for the reasons that you think it is. And it also doesn't mean that the solutions that you're so certain will work, because they often won't. All great conclusions, all great discoveries come at the string of a long list of failures. You fail forward in life. You fail often. You fail frequent. And that is how people get to success. The solutions that you think are so certain are actually not that. And there are other nefarious actors out there that are seeking to use your own conviction to destroy you and everyone that comes after you, and all of us that are here in theory ahead of you, or at least ahead of you in years. The solutions are not solutions. They're solutions for other nefarious means and ends, not for the problems that you care so much about. You're being blinded by your emotions, but being rewarded for those emotions in the attention graph. There's a long history of people getting a raw deal or getting what they perceive to be an unfair shake. But what life teaches us is that these setbacks are oftentimes the gift that we could have never anticipated they would be. When I graduated high school in 2005 and started going to college, it wasn't long before I realized that what I thought it was is not what it was. And in 2008, there was a massive financial crisis, which caused people like me and my peers to not be able to buy a house, not get a good job, not use the degree that they had been bamboozled so much money into paying for, and never even get a job to start recouping that money. And while it is our natural instinct to go ahead and place that blame, it was a gift. A gift that was nearly impossible to see and recognize at the time. When people like me felt disenfranchised by college and decided to not go, that money that I saved not getting that degree that I thought was going to be needed ended up not being as necessary for a person like me. I self-taught, I learned the hard way, I ran my head into the wall. But boy, what is it a gift. Many people I know that went to college, and this is not necessarily the experience for everybody else, wish that they could unlearn what they learned in college. As college taught them how to be an employee, not how to be a leader, not how to be an entrepreneur, how to be a rule follower, a narrow thinker, a linear thinker. But these, like so many other things, are the gift of the journey. These are the setbacks that forge the better and more prosperous futures. These are the failures that cause us to fail forward. While my natural instinct was to blame the banks, to blame the system, and I was so certain of it, so sure of it, nobody could have convinced me otherwise. It wasn't until later, through life experience, that you realize that it was not them, but rather the politicians that enabled them to get in that position, and then the handlers above them who control them. But had I had the opportunity to get the distribution and get all of the social clout and all of the return to my outsized voice and anger, if I had protested and got rewarded for it, I would have been stuck in that mindset for even longer than I was. So while you have your voice and we appreciate your intelligence, your exuberance, your energy, you are misguided more often than not. Do more listening and less yelling. Start learning and try to understand that time will teach you the ways of the world more than any other thing will. We value you, we need you, and we want you to be part of the equation. But you can't just yell and scream about everything. Life teaches us that we have to have more patience. That patience, the willingness to learn and listen, will advance you much faster than anything else. Because people with more life experience than you are using your own actions against your own interests. Most young people start out as progressive leftists. The messaging is spot on. It resonates with us. Love and accept everybody. The scales are tipped. The powers that be are out to get us. But in the exact same way that an adult can manipulate a child to do certain things, the same thing is happening in this case. They're mind games. They know your weak points because we were all there. What you will soon learn, not only in culture, but politics and just life in general, is that things are not always what they seem, and that the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And the thing that's served up perfectly nice and shiny with a pretty bow on a silver platter is often not what it seems. It's the thing in the corner that's hard to find, that doesn't look just right, that actually is better. Again, only things that come with time and experience. And you'll get there. But here's the thing. I know that you're actually smart enough to receive this message, or I wouldn't send it in the first place. You will see the truth in time. I just hope, for all of our sake, that you see it sooner than later, before you get what you think you want, and it turns out to be not what you bargained for. Never lose that tenacity and spirit. Never lose that energy. Never lose that passion. But remember that time is your friend, and you have one mouth but two ears.